Heyo, it's Anna from Atlas. Let me show you how to create the viral startup map, or honestly any directory type of a map in Atlas super fast with the map view styled with a form where others can fill out information and interactive user interface, of course. So ready to hop in? Let's go. All right, so let's start by creating a new project in Atlas. Oh, and one more thing, I'm also going to show you how our Sheets integration, or we will use the Sheets integration in this video, so you'll also learn that one here if you didn't know it yet. So first it asks for some data, so you go to connect to external sources and you choose Google Sheets. And then you go to your Google Sheet, so I have it open here, and then you can see I have name column, address column, industry, description, funding round, and a logo address. So all you need to do is make sure that you have a public, and then you go and copy the link, you go back to your project, and you paste the link, create connection, and then you just choose which sheet you're working with. I only have one, so let's just bring that in. And while that one is loading, let's at least change the project name. So what are we writing? Startups in Helsinki. And also another thing we can do. Oh, now our sheet is here, but we can change the base map. So we can choose a special type of a base map that's a bit Arctic, could I say? I have this blue base map. I went to get the URL. So where you can change the base map is here in the lower right corner, map settings, change base map. You can choose out of these, what are already in your workspace. At least these ones are available in every Atlas workspace. But then from the menu, you can also choose to add from URL. You can bring a custom base map. You can create these, in several other softwares like MapTiler. And let's just call it blue. And add base map, and let's see how it looks like. Okay, cool. I told you it's a bit more Arctic, and right now we have our sheet here, so let's just rename that as well. So Helsinki startups, and let's zoom in there. So we have the points, and I'll repeat, or not repeat, but highlight that these were just created, these points, based on the addresses alone. So I open the data table by clicking the layer or the menu and clicking data table, or from the right side, layer panel, data table. And here you can see that the address column turned pink, so that means it was geocoded. So yeah, basically Atlas just turned addresses into lat long points. So you could even download this as a GeoJSON now, so you can choose different file formats. So basically it is a geodata file right now. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't honestly matter, because all you need to know is that you can bring data into Atlas with addresses alone, and that's pretty huge. But right now we can check out that all our columns are valid. It already turned, for example, the funding round column into a number column. If it wouldn't have, we could have changed it. We can also make it, honestly, a currency column. You can choose currency, and since this is Finland, it's euros. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, because what's important is that these are millions. So right now it says up there, euro millions. All right, cool. And then we have the logo, which is just as a URL now, but we need to change that into image, because soon I'll tell you why. So go and scroll the different field types and choose image, and nice. Now our logos have turned into images. Cool. And okay, the pink points are looking a bit dull right now by themselves. We have standard visualization on, but we want to change it into marker. And okay, I get it. Doesn't look very impressive right now, but then you'll go and choose text. You can choose the name of the company, and then we choose icon. We choose the logo, because we just brought those in. Why some of these are currently not like showing is because it probably doesn't have a background, the logo. So it's just a black text. So then it doesn't show. I think we're pretty safe if we just switch into white. And right now, yeah, we can see all the logos. Cool. We could also change the size, but honestly, yeah, I think it's pretty nice. 50 pixels looks good. Nice. And then the next thing we like to do is a pop-up. So right now, when we click this, we just get a bit of a random list, which, for example, has the geocoding succeeded tab, like I explained earlier, why address column was pink. That's the geocoding thing, and we don't need to show these kind of things. So let's click the layer panel again and click on pop-up. By the way, since we brought in the Google Sheet, the data sync happens from here. You can just pick how often you would like it to be automatically synced, and always you can go and click sync now, just, manually. But then we open the pop-up and we have different options. Right now we have it fixed on the upper right corner. Let's maybe put it to cursor, so when we click, it comes like where the startup is. Let's open the pop-up panel again. Then we don't need to have the layer name because we're going to add that manually. So let's start and add some content from this plus button here. Let's first add the logo, so an image. And let's just choose the logo and like that. Then we want to have the title, so the name of the startup. So we just choose text, we use the brackets again, and we choose the name column. Then we can select a different size for it. We can do all kinds of editing here. Let's look how it looks like right now. Okay, cool. We have the logo and the name. And then next thing we want is to simply add a field list. So some of those fields that were originally in the pop-up as well. So this is a very easy way to bring in custom fields from the data table into the pop-up. So not everything, but you can easily choose which and it formats it for you. So we don't need to showcase the address. You can already see the location, but we can, for example, have the industry. We can have description, we can have the latest funding round, whether that company has it. But then we can hit save. And right now it shows like this. Cool. So that is our pop-up. Next thing we'd like to do is this form I mentioned about. So I don't have that many startups here right now, even though Helsinki has an amazing startup ecosystem. People are entrepreneurial. A bit of a homeland hype here. But anyway, let's make sure that people can add their own startups to the list, because if I open the data table right now, we can see the count is only 28, and I mean, there are hundreds. Let's go to the left side and click to forms. Let's go and make a new form, and let's choose the data set we are making it for. So Helsinki startups, and we just want people to be able to add new rows into that data table, so new points to the map. Let's call this startups in Helsinki. I already have a nice description for it. Copy and paste it. So directory, we just need to choose which dataset is showing. So let's go and click this Helsinki startups. So that one is showing. The points will show soon. We can choose which of these columns are showing. So we, for example, don't want this geocoding succeeded to show, so we can simply click it and remove it. The latest funding round might not be relevant for each startup, so we can just make it optional. And then we don't need the address because they already need to hit the point on the map themselves and then choose where their startup is located. So that's enough for us. And honestly, it was this easy. So if you would like to bring in a logo, whatever, you can do it there. But let's just publish this now, so then we can add it into our interface. So that will be the next step. Now, right now we have a nice looking map. Oof, that's our data table. Let's zoom in there. We have it here. We have the pop-ups, we have the form, and right now we are going to go again on the left side to builder mode and create the interface. So what will show for anyone who opens this map with the link. So let's start from blank layout. Cool. So this is now our starting point. We don't have anything here yet, but we start by creating a section to the left side with the plus button. Then we start dragging and dropping some widgets. So let's start with the title. You could bring the project title. I mean, honestly, yeah, our title is fine. So we can just bring that in. We can choose that that's central, and that's honestly it. You could also bring a text and then format it yourself. Then let's bring in this button now. So where can you go and submit your startup with the form we just created? So let's call this submit your startup. Honestly, it could be someone else's startup as well, but maybe this is more of a direct call to action. So let's just use that one now. And instead of going to external URL, that's also a good functionality, by the way. So if you want to be able to go to a website, for example, you can add that type of button here or to the pop-up or so on. But right now we just want to submit a form and we pick our form. And yeah, we have already chosen which information we want to be there. We don't need to do anything else, but maybe we want to make this a bit bigger. So we go to the options of the button and we just choose size can be large, for example. Cool. So that's our button. So by clicking that now, you'll get to the form. I'll show you that later. And then what we can maybe add next is some sort of a filter. So since we have funding round, we have industry, we can use those. So let's first bring a filter. and we will of course choose our dataset. Very easy, we have just one, and we call this last funding round. Cool. And we use the range. That makes the most sense when it's a numerical field, and we choose the last funding round. Okay, I have no idea what happens here, so let's not show the histogram, but just this slider. So now if you use it, you just see, okay, as we can see, Walt is in its own category, but you get what I mean. You can filter. You just need to be quite precise there in the beginning, like, you know, between 7 and 700 millions. And next thing we want to add is a way to filter on industry. So let's, instead of adding a filter, we could also do that and just choose a different type than a slider. But let's use this category chart and let's choose Helsinki startups. We don't need to have a title for this, so we can just hide that one. And we choose the industry. And then the operation is count. So right now it counts. We can see, of course, like I said, it's only 28 here. So this is not a very representative startup set yet. But here we can see that, for example, there's the most food tech startups. I mean, there are a couple of really impressive ones for sure. Then we can maybe do a bit of styling here. So we can, for example, choose a different color. Maybe we can take the eyedrop tool and go and choose the same color as in the button. We can also make this a bit thicker, and we can add, because I mean, we have a lot of space here. So we can just add more field showing or categories. Then we can edit this section itself, because I think we're already on the left side. So we can click the section itself and we can choose a styling option. So for example, this one will only show the widgets we have there right now. So no blank space. We can add some spacing between them, and you can give it some opacity. You can blur the background and things like this. Okay, I think we're pretty happy with the left side. And then what we can add on the right side, we of course start with the plus button. We should bring a list of all these. So that's called feature list, and we drag and drop it. We choose the dataset again. We don't need a name. We definitely want it to be the whole section showing. So we go to the original, and I know it doesn't look good yet, but instead of the cards layout, let's choose the list. We could also use dense or grid or mesh. This also looks pretty nice actually. But maybe we could go with the list. So we see a bit also, we have now chosen the name, industry, and description, and of course logo for the image. And I honestly think it works really nicely. And then one more thing we want to edit here is that when you click a point, so a startup, you want this pop-up to be showing in the list rather than on the map. So actually earlier when we were editing the placement of it, it becomes really unnecessary now, but that was good practice. So let's just go again to options and let's choose display pop-up within list. Let's just try another one after updating it, and right now you can see how it just shows there. Then we can also choose filter by viewport. So what it means is that when I zoom in, it will change what shows on the list, and it always just shows the startups visible in the viewport of my map right now. And the same thing goes, for example, here in the industry categories. Then maybe one more widget we can add is, especially if people start to add more startups into the list, we might want to be able to search on them. So let's add it on this side. It automatically goes on the bottom, but let's just bring it up there. Again, we don't need the title. We just choose our dataset and what column to search on, and I think the name is the best one. Of course, industry, for example, could work as well, but here I think name is pretty good. So like if you don't see Walt here right now, you can just go and search for it. So yeah, this is what it looks like right now. We can also go and preview the map. So right now, if we click these, they'll show in our feature list. And then if I realize my startup isn't showing here, I can go and submit my startup. I'll draw a point. Okay, it's right there. I'll fill in the information, submit the form, and it will be added on the list. Okay, one more thing, how to choose whether it's added on the list directly, or if you can choose on it, you go to forms and you can choose on the right side whether you auto approve responses or if you want to approve them manually. I can approve. I believe that whoever adds this will have good intentions, and I can just always save by publishing. And that's it. That's how you create a directory map in Atlas. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know, what would you like to learn next?